This isn't a Christmas movie, but in a sense, it's kinda got that Christmas spirit. Around this time of year, everyone just sorta comes together for a little bit of a song and dance, and somehow, despite the track record of Illumination Entertainment being so low in regards to quality film writing, I haven't really covered the guys very much all year, so let's change that now. And while I had originally intended to do a terrible video on Sing, turns out a lot of people actually really like it. And to go one step further, of course this film has sparked a whole new franchise as well. As yes, Illumination Sing is getting a sequel. Are you ecstatic or rolling your eyes for a revelation you've seen unfold like 100 times by this point? Well, for me, I hadn't actually seen Sing up to this point. I mean, I saw the trailer and that kind of covered everything, didn't it? Still, I'm not one for bunnies shaking their butts or the obvious boomer bait of a silly pig singer, but this is my job now. So today we're going to be going through the meat of this film, sprinkling the news of what's upcoming and see how things could expand with this established universe. Alright? Come join me as we slug through another one of Illumination's masterpieces. And they'll definitely let you know it's them with a 22-second sequence of their logo alone. Oof. And right off the bat, I can see the appeal on the very first location, just from the fact that this is an entire city populated by animals. That is undeniably pretty cool. It's a bit of a trend that others have done at the time, sure, but it's a twang of difference. Can't wait to see all the puns and visual gags they make out of that. I mean, it's just a great prompt for creativity. Anyway, this prologue shows the theatre in its heyday, and when our mainest protagonist fell in love with the theatre, Buster Moon the koala. He went on to buy the theatre and become a failing showman, with his stage crew currently angry at him since they've just had their paycheck bounced. He's broke. Also, his assistant's name is apparently Miss Crawley. If that's the case, shouldn't she be like a spider? First name Creepy? Creepy Crawley? Maybe I've been playing too much Phoenix Wright lately. Anyway, Buster Moon escapes the place running above the entire set and cycling through town. It's here we get introduced to all of our other protagonists. And this sequence actually starts off pretty great. Buster cycles past this one alleyway and the camera lingers onto it as we're introduced to our first contestant, the gorilla, Johnny. And what's he doing at this time of day? It's actually quite dynamic. He's part of a criminal heist with his dad being the lookout, though his heart's clearly in the song in his head. The mission's a bit scuffed, but they race away anyway, and that is an awesome establishment, and such an interesting arc for an otherwise wholesome musical competition story. The rest doesn't hit me as good. It hits different, badly. I loved the transition of two characters physically being within the vicinity of each other. That kind of stuff's just my jam ever since Hoodwinked. But the rest of this wander across town is just the camera going on a ride to its destination. There's no real reasoning to, other than that that's where the characters are. And to me, that's a shame. Especially because, like, Johnny could have easily just driven past this next house so easily. Anyway, your other characters are pretty standard tropes. Johnny is too, but he's the most interesting. You've got the pig mother with a million kids singing Katy Perry's Fireworks about wanting to start again. Kinda sounds like she hates her kids, but you get it there. It's a hectic house and not a very supportive husband. Then we zoom to a club gig with the duo Porcupine Band, where the guy complains of the girl not staying as the backup vocals. And then there's this random house with one elephant being really good at singing Happy Birthday. Isn't this, like, regarded as being really douchey? Maybe not to your family. Still, in this case, the family are aggressively supportive, but the elephant herself is too shy. Then we get this mouse busking on a stairway who's got a chunk more personality, though it's still pretty simple, because he's the gangster type. Mean, willing to scrap to get what he wants. And then we sip right back to Buster Moon. Overall, from just the characters, I see why people like it. But it's not amazing, you know? Everyone's just kind of an archetype, and their animal traits aren't really relevant. The elephant is ironically not loud, and the mouse is. Also, I guess they're kind of like a Frank Sinatra Rat Pack pun, maybe? Pigs have a fair litter size of like 7 to 14, but wouldn't a rabbit work way better for the mum? Anyway, even in the next scene as Buster is asking for more money, there's no visual jokes in the background. Everyone's eating cake or soup. There's no connection to which species are meeting, and maybe I've been spoiled by the likes of Zootropolis or BoJack Horseman, but what's the point of having them be animals if they're not gonna play with it more?
A singing competition? Who wants to see another one of those?
Yeah, that was my first impression too. So Buster sets up marketing his new show idea, setting out a $1,000 prize money competition. Some hijinks happen to crank that number up and all the posters go flying out the window. Who needs any other kind of marketing when wind will apparently do everything else? And it literally does. Sure, I'll believe it for a film like this. All our guys witness a poster very conveniently, or maybe this movie's just highlighting the few people who did see it and every other potential winner just never did. That's my headcanon anyway.
I made you some coffee. Oh, I got a little thirsty on the way up those stairs.
Huh, I guess that's why they skipped on the jokes. They can't make any good ones. So of course everyone's lining up for their chance and Buster still hasn't seen the $100,000 error. What follows next is Illumination flaunting their budget with 100 licensed songs back to back to back to back. It's your Britain's Got Talent montage of acts, some good, some bad, some you'll recognize, and still none really using their potential. Sure, the shrimp are synchronized swimmers and the kangaroo has a roo in their pouch who sings, but beyond that, it's really scarce. It's just a bunch of trailer bait, though at least I can appreciate it shows a lot for the trailer without really revealing the story. If only they kept that up with the trailers. Anyway, through this montage, Mina gets her moment and messes it up. I don't know if this is a cliche subversion because I don't watch many musicals, but I like the turn on this. It's a little more substance. And with the day done, Buster picks his favorites. That's totally not everyone from the entire day. He picks just the girl in the porcupine band. Nice, love the drama. Then for the soloist, this Buffalo Richard then goes on to randomly fart all over the scene.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Oh, what is wrong with me?
Then he steps on Ray the snail with a poorly integrated Wilhelm scream and then he runs away farting.
Gotcha. Oh, whoopsie. Oh.
I was kind of getting into this simple plot, but Illumination always just has to go down to this level, doesn't it? You gotta work on that checklist, Wilhelm, farts galore. Then Buster goes on to hire Daniel the giraffe, but gets angered for the hearing issues from being way up there, the rare time they actually use a joke on the animal part, but that's what leads him to eventually hiring Johnny. Of all the routes to take, this is just terrible writing. And because they tackled the joke here of all places, it kind of comes off as discrimination or ableism. Like, how do you mess this up? And the other beat has the pig mum Rosita partnered with Gunther, the boomer bait. And only now do they discover the $100,000.
Please, blow that nose of yours. No, not in here. Blow it outside.
Is this supposed to be a funny joke? Anyway, now we've reached the meat of the story, so here's some info on the sequel. For a start, Illumination was so eager to milk this thing for money that though this film came out in December of 2016, the announcement of the sequel came in January 2017, just 1 month later. And since we're still talking about it now, you can imagine it's been delayed a bunch, for all sorts of reasonings. Currently, it's established to now release on December 22nd, 2021, in just about a year's time, so brace yourselves. Back to the original, and Buster isn't fazed by the impossible odds, saying at rock bottom you can only go up, so he'll see them all tomorrow for rehearsal. Logic. That night, Mina's mourning her loss. Ash the porcupine is trying to convince Lance, the boyfriend, that she should continue to gain the money for the both of them. Mike is struggling to get into a nightclub to chase some girl. Johnny is hired as the new getaway driver for the big hit. And Rosita is struggling to find a babysitter, so instead, she scraps together a massive Rube Goldberg machine. Huh, I actually really like the creativity of all this. Sure, it doesn't really make much sense that the mum can randomly DIY all this, but it's still super fun to see unfold perfectly. And it's rehearsal time, and everyone's got an uncomfortable twist. Rosita with Gunther, Johnny with a piano now, and Ash given pop and not rock. Everyone's a little unhappy, and they've lost their electricity too. And as Buster goes on a whole mission to steal some power for themselves, Mina then reappears to request a redo, getting a job as a stagehand instead. And she loves the atmosphere. Mike, however, does not. To him, it's all awful and the prize is as good as his. Also, he takes out a massive loan to impress and get into that nightclub. Ash is thinking about writing her own songs, but is discouraged by Lance. Mina is greeted by everyone on the street, though they're unaware that she's not in the show. And Johnny is practicing his getaway driver skills, grumbling in frustration, which leads him to go faster and almost hits his dad. Wow, that is the kind of sequence that I love the tension of. Dude's arc is like so much more investing than everybody else's, I swear. Though at the same time, it is still pretty generic. It's a weird one. Rosita witnesses the success of her machine and Buster reminisces on the theater's opening. Oh, I love that match cut. Any spice of creativity is all I ask for. Anyway, another beat of concern, Judith from the bank has visited, saying he needs to settle his account or they will repossess the property. No shows have ever worked before and they have no faith in him. So as an alternative money source, Buster finds solace in connecting to Nana, the celebrity who he watched in that prologue, though she is supposedly brutal. I don't have an animal costume for you this time, but even still, you should consider subscribing. Only you can help balance out my ratio. And on top of that, we're streaming today. We are just chatting if you want to have a conversation. And tomorrow, we're doing a nostalgia stream. I'm going to be playing a bunch of games from my childhood when I was 13. Call of Duty, Battlefield. It's not really my usual type of content, so I figured I'd just have a blast from the past. So that's what we're doing over there. Come check it out. Otherwise, let's get back into this terrible world of Illumination animations. Yeah. Rehearsals again, and I swear Mike's like the only one who actually plays with his size, dancing with the mic flirtatiously. Anyway, some hijinks happen with Buster randomly having Crawley's glass eye in his drink, spinning it out to almost crush Mike, knocking out this side character Pete the Camel, and destroying part of the stage. Also, I thought Mike was being witty here, calling Mina Dumbo.
You almost killed me, Jumbo!
It wasn't me.
Oh, is that so?
But it turns out he's saying Jumbo instead. Shame. Almost witty. So Pete's out of the race, as are these frogs I didn't really establish because they're arguing and breaking up. You knew they weren't getting in anyway, you know, they barely had names. So Mina is hired anyway, without even hearing her singing voice yet. Okay. Rosita has a whole feet routine plan that gets devastated that hurts me more than it should. Ash continues to hate her pop style, Johnny is struggling at the piano, and now his dad's calling in the middle of it. So he leaves early. And that night, bit of an abrupt jump to immediately later, considering Johnny was supposed to leave early and not like at the whatever. Ash breaks up with Lance after he's paired with another female porcupine. Mike scams some bears out of their money at poker and gets caught for it, escaping by car, and hey, they actually use a rhino horn to pop a balloon. It's something. I swear I'm starving for some actual flair, you know? The next day, Buster is calling Eddie the business friend, only to reveal they're actually in the same place. It's been done before, but I somewhat appreciate it. And they both go to Nana's place, where she accepts an invitation to see the performance for herself in a dress run, to see the good old days of the old theater.
But anything's better than spending another evening playing checkers with this old fart.
What?
Huh? He's not old though. What are these jokes? But hey, it's another match cut. Is that like his motifing? Alright. Dress rehearsal time, but Johnny's got that heist happening now. Oh, I love the drama on him. Grumpy that he's there, he's told he has to wait exactly 37 minutes for their re-arrival. That's enough time to disappear, right? So practice is ongoing, Ash is crying over her style, flinging pines randomly everywhere. Johnny arrives but can't squeeze in early. Rosita performs but falls flat on her face because dancing's too hard for her middle-aged body, I guess. She just can't get her head into it. And the joke that follows is one that I actually think is genuinely good.
Are you okay? Oh, yes, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
So it is Johnny's turn early, I guess. He rushes through his song. Rosita is unconfident on her place even being here. Mike is suddenly very nervous about the bears after him, and then immediately switches to just insulting Rosita and how she fell over, and then he's just all confident again. Okay, well, what a switch. And Johnny vanishes quickly after failing. He's got to use his backup song instead. He zooms to the getaway alley, but it's stuck in traffic. A buffalo has hit a lion. Why couldn't it have been like a deer because of the headlights, or a sloth being slow, or a peacock spreading its feathers in threatening anger, you know? It's so simple to do something like this. I feel like they've already got a deer model, don't they? And the gorillas are caught by the police. Time to speak to them immediately in prison. Also, like, what's the backstory for each species talking to the other species here? It's not established, and not even a joke either. There's no hedgehog talking to a fox for a sneaky little reference, or a koala and a kangaroo from the same lands. Not even something like a giant bear and a tiny bird. It's just all random, and lazy because of that fact. Anyway, you know how this scene will go. Dad's angry, he learns of the singing contest and is not impressed. It's already super cliche at this point, but the blaseness of the trailer really hampers down the effect of it. I guess the trailers were built for parents to watch to judge for their children? It's still stupid, and feeling guilty, he asks for extra piano lessons. Probably a good idea. And here's another sliver of Sing 2 news. There's honestly very little to go on at this point, which I guess is a nice change, all things considered. Anyway, it's about the cast. This film already has an outstanding cast. I mean, Nana is literally played by Jennifer Saunders, so I'm not surprised at all that she's seen as some kind of queen of the show. But then they've also crammed in Scarlett Johansson, Taron Egerton, Seth MacFarlane, Reese Witherspoon, Matthew McConaughey, John C. Reilly, Nick Offerman. I mean, I guess it's the standard for animated movies to shove all of these together, but there are 2 new confirmations to add to the cast list for Sing 2, and that is Adam Buxton, who oddly enough was already in the first movie as Stan, one of the gorillas in the gang, and then there's also Chelsea Peretti. You know her face, she's from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and she's been in a few animated things already. No word on their roles just yet, but it's something. Also though, we know Buster, Ash, Rosita, Johnny, Mike, Gunter, Mina, Miss Crawley, and Piglet will be returning too. Supposedly. That's pretty standard though, isn't it? Anyway, with that minute detail out of the way, next up there's this admittedly not bad sequence of Rosita in the supermarket getting into the flow of the music and finally letting her body move without thinking for the first time. It's cute, and I like how the staff guy contributes. Meanwhile, Buster and Mina are working on the next cheat, redesigning the entire stage. Taking window panes, sourcing the water tower, hiring squids. I like the creativity. And it's a callback too. Mwah! And today's the day for the dress rehearsal. Rosita's machine is broken this time, Johnny's getting better at piano, Miss Crawley randomly falls over for the funnies. Ash is practicing her original song, Buster Loves, that's very lucky. And Buster convinces Mina to have the bravery to perform, though she's literally never sung in front of any of them before. And now it's on the super high stakes of impressing Nana? I don't buy it. Anyway, it's time to perform, though the bears spot Mike and threaten him, only for Mike to say that Moon has their money, $100,000. Buster, meanwhile, is revealing the new stage, powered by luminescent squid. That's quite the illumination, ain't it? Though surely the squids would have needed so much, rehearsal time for all this. Still, it's a genuinely interesting design for a stage. And then the bears crash in, forcing their way to the prize money where it's revealed how little there is. And right on cue of everyone approaching Buster, the stage cracks in half and the whole theater floods. Guess those squids are dead. Mina clogs the exit, everyone almost dies, Buster uses the top path again, and Johnny breaks the clog, not unlike that one scene in Kingsman. I guess Taron Egerton just can't avoid this story beat. And just like that, Mike is flushed down the sewers, Nana leaves unimpressed, and the entire theater collapses. This is an extreme twist to add some action. And only Buster's dad's old bucket survives. And it's all played with sad singing music. I was confused for a while at who's singing, because this is completely non-diegetic, but it's actually Nana from the prologue. The bears can't find Mike, the pigs are caught in the machine, Mina is mourning, Johnny isn't visited by his dad, Lance is with Becky at the bar, and the bank seizes the property. It's the end of Act 2, everybody. Sadness all around. Buster has given up squatting at Eddie's place. Everyone comes to lift him up, but it doesn't work. Mina delivers some cake, it's probably her grandpa's leftovers or something, and Buster shoots her down for her optimism on being a singer. And he decides to follow in his dad's footsteps and work for a hard, low-income life instead. Though he sucks. Rock bottom. And with that, there's only one way to go, as Eddie joins in the car washing business. At least they're using their fur for work. And after almost a hard day's work, Buster finally hears Mina sing upon the ruins of the theater. Sure is lucky he didn't move too far away, huh? Inspired anew, everyone is told of the revival, and they work together to recreate the theater DIY style themselves. Wasn't this repossessed though? Isn't this like trespassing at this point after the whole bank thing? Ah well, it's all feel good. Mike is accepted back, but rejects without the prize money as these guys are singing for themselves this time. And with that, the show is readying to start. The audience is minute, only really being the family of the contestants. All those pig kids will surely just shout over the whole show, I bet. I've experienced it. Ugh. It's time to begin. Again, this is their excuse for a joke? Like, maybe for a pantomime for 5-year-olds, but come on. No wonder they barely try. So first it's Rosita and Gunter, now with a laundry-themed set, and generic Taylor Swift, which then moves to a remixed version of the same song with a new costume. Alright. And here's Mike wanting to join in now after being ridiculed by viewers watching on TV on the streets. Does that happen these days? Like, what time period is this? And with a success, crowds begin to join. you see how this goes. Next up, Johnny singing I'm Still Standing at the piano. It's good, but it would be, because it's I'm Still Standing. And to hit that easy feel-good vibe, his dad sees it in prison and suddenly 180s to loving it. Again, would have at least been faintly better if that wasn't spoiled in the trailer. Still, what is new is him using the opportunity to escape prison and leap across town over the rooftops. That's inciting. And a hint of beatsy creativity too. Oh, everyone loves Johnny, though he's obviously still down about it all.
You are all trespassing on private property, and you will leave right now.
And, I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But I do like how it times perfectly with the rebellious rock act of Ash. That's well structured and probably not in Illumination's telling story for dummies formula by default. Took a little bit of effort.
I am calling the police.
She never does. Though I also like during Ash's act this frenetic camera angle. It's just on theme, but it's nice to see. Still don't understand the random pines though. Mike's time, and since his performance has always gone well, this time it's time to not. The bears spot him on TV and his love interest joins the chase. Also, Johnny's dad sneaks backstage for a hug with his son. It's an easy plot point. And it's got all the happy father line, but you get it. The helicopters chasing him also influence the stage, pushing Mike away from the mic and then eventually swinging him around. It's fun. Johnny's dad disappears off again, the bears arrive, and finally it's Mina time. Again, without any practice before really, but alright. And eventually, after a little bit of more shy bait, she sings. Surprise! It's good. Yeah. I do like though that even Mike is stunned by it, the one guy who's been shooting down everybody else at every opportunity. Not sure on the logic of singing projecting when your mouth is behind a massive trunk, but we'll accept it. Mike is nabbed away by the bears in secret and teleported to the street. He escapes with his girl, except he doesn't. We get some callbacks with the old auditioning still in the same outfits, and it's a happy ending for all. Even Nana is impressed in the audience. And with that, the show is over. The place is bought by Nana, time-lapse to a rebuilt theatre. We hear that song from Nana in the prologue again singing over it all, and it's reopened with a whole new photo frame. I guess all the story beats for each character was finished in the show itself, because we don't actually see any post-show scene. That's a shame. I kind of wanted to see, a bit more dialogue. It's a bit abrupt. Everyone succeeds, happiness all around, and Mike... Oh god. That was the last we saw of Mike. He's literally dead. That's easy to go over your head. Yikes. Though he's casted in Sing 2, so I guess that's retcon number 1. But in theory, he's super dead. Where can they expand in this direction? I'm not too sure. I got lost into a fake wiki of a fan idea for a sequel that was all about seeing the big city, but that would make sense for the characters' careers, but how does that come back to Moon and the theatre? I don't know. Also, in that fake wiki, everyone and their mother was secretly wanting to be a singer, including Judith, the bank owner, and the female mouse. You saw the entire family of Lance, and Becky, and Ash. Oh, I was very confused for a while. As for the other expansion options, all there really is that I can think of is do more stuff with the animal element. I mean, is it just going to be a second show? Are they going to relocate somewhere else? It's kind of concerning. But at the same time, they'll probably just take the easiest, most generic sequel route. That's what you can expect as an expansion. This is one of those films that's kind of hard to judge without showing bias, you know? This film is so generically made that it's a classic. The story overall is pretty good. It's standard. I always find myself enjoying musicals way more when I'm watching them, and then when I'm not, I forget how much I like them in the moment. If this was a stage play, I'd probably really love it. It's easy, but it's feel good. And it's fun to watch archetypes sometimes. That being said, it's lazy too. The animation is good. It's got a good budget. I love the lighting. Yeah. But the actual creativity in the writing and the direction is just not there most of the time. We've got a Zootropolis-like society, but it's pointless. They never really do anything with it. It's just visual bait to get the kids into it. And any attempt at putting in effort into any real jokes just exposes how poor the writing is. I have friends who love this film and some of its beats, But at the same time, it's because they've been done before. They're tried and tested already. Sure, maybe Johnny's song gives you goosebumps, but that's not Johnny, that's Elton John. And that's not a gorilla, it's just a generic character wearing a gorilla skin. He just looks a bit intimidating to fit with the arc, but even, like, they don't do much with it. Every highlight of the story feels unearned because it's just regurgitated from something that already exists. But at the same time, it's a massive crowd pleaser. And is that not the purpose of movies anyway? If it cuts corners to get some cheap applauses in, but satisfies the masses that watch it, can you really call it a failure? No. And the reviews reflect that. But to me, the quality is still lackluster in regards to the actual originality it brought to the table. I like the story, but that's just the skeleton of the premise. Everything else is just lazy bait on top. And Illumination should feel bad for that. But you know they don't. I mean, there's still that sequel coming, and that's kind of the theme with all their films anyway. And how much you want to bet this sequel's still gonna have none of the nuance of that animal kingdom we've seen in other films, still. Despite like 4 years passing to polish the world. Maybe it'll be a welcomely nice surprise, but I'm not holding my breath. Merry corporate Christmas, everybody. I would call this a terrible movie, but it's debatable. What's undeniable, though, is Sing is coming back. See you all in a year. For now, my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. Thank you for making it as far as you did, all the way to the end, essentially. I'm surprised how much I kind of enjoyed the story, as much as it didn't really deserve it, because it just hit all the kind of easy beats. But either way, the secret code word for saying you've made it all the way here is bacon. So chuck that into a comment. Otherwise, hopefully, I'll see you on stream. Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Why did I don't, what was that? Was that supposed to be comedy? Oy vey.